and I made him watch.
Hello and welcome to And I Made Him Watch, the podcast where I make my husband watch weird movies and we discuss how weird things really got. I'm your host, Dani Page, and here with me, forever and always, Mia Moore and filmmaker Troy Allen. What's up, honey bunch?
How's it going?
How's it going?
Oh, I'm doing swell.
Swell?
Yes.
Swell.
Right as the rain, as one would say.
Yes. That's good. I'm glad you're doing well. Good. So, I made you watch Don't Go Into the House from 1980, where Dani has got some mommy issues. This movie really had me going with how well, maybe too well, this guy acted. Anyway, so mommy dies, and then Dani likes to play with fire and kills a bunch of women in his makeshift oven. I gave it a 7 out of 10 the first time I watched it.
Okay.
Joseph Ellison took the reins of this horror roller coaster, with a dynamic duo Ellen Hamill and Joe Mansfield providing the script, starring Dan Grimaldi as the barbecue enthusiast, disturbed man. Our protagonist takes his love for crispy memories a bit too far. After a childhood that makes time out seem like a breeze, he blossoms into a pyromaniac and amateur matchmaker. His unique dating strategy involves kidnapping and introducing ladies to a warm, cozy fire.
I feel like he'd be really, really good at, all things propane and propane accessories.
Yeah, he's a real Hank Hill.
Did you get what I said, though? Propane.
Yes, yes.
It's funny. I thought it was funny.
Our director, Joseph Ellison, is the man who turned his love for music into a twisted tale on the silver screen. Born in Manhattan in 1948, Ellison's taste in tunes was as diverse as a buffet on an alien potluck, ranging from Hank Williams Sr. to soulful vibes of the Lioness Monk's avant-garde jazz, with a dash of McGuire Sisters' harmonious melodies. In the 60s, Ellison's cinematic itch needed scratching. Blame it on Federico Fellini and his mind-blowing art films. So like any reasonable person, Ellison decides to become a filmmaker. NYU got a taste of his potential, but he left in 71 to dabble in post-production shenanigans for smaller films. And guess who almost starred in George A. Romano's The Crazies in 73? Yep, our man Ellison. But life had other plans, and scheduling conflicts were an ultimate party pooper. Ellison then ventured into the wild world of exploitation films in 1980, when he finally birthed his own brainchild. Enter Don't Go Into the House, or The Burning, as it is also named. It's Ellison's debut flick, a dark and disturbing twist on Hitchcock's Psycho. Hey, you mentioned that earlier when we were watching it. So picture this, a troubled dude, mommy issues, and a flamethrower. No, it's not a dysfunctional family barbecue. It's Ellison's take on revenge, with a side of crispy, catastrophic. I don't know what I'm saying.
Catastrophic.
Released during the era when horror got side-eyed from feminists, Don't Go in the House stirred up more drama than a soap opera on roller skates. Critics called it something from lurid trash to sickening. Audience during a Friday the 13th and Don't Go in the House double feature were left more emotionless than a mannequin in a museum. Ellison had officially pushed comfort zones like a pro. Post-controversy, he took a chill pill for 6 years, only returned with Joey in 86, a drama that slipped into the shadows without making too much noise. And that, my friends, was the grand final of Joseph Ellison's directorial career. He retired like a rock star after leaving us with a legacy that continues to baffle and bewilder audience. Cheers to the man who made a pyromaniac revenge look like a Sunday picnic. Yeah, he is pretty sick. He had a very short career. This was his only movie. Our mama's boy and pyromaniac is portrayed by the talented Dan Grimaldi. Grimaldi, born on March 7th, 1946, is not your average guy. He's an American actor and mathematics professor because who says you can't juggle compelling performances with complex equations? Best known for his twin-tastic portrayal of Philly and Patsy Parasi in The Sopranos. Grimaldi left viewers seeing double and questioning their own family dynamics. He even flexed his legal muscle in Law and Order, proving that a courtroom drama is just as thrilling as a Hollywood script. He also dabbled in action with The Junkman in 1983 and showcased his versatile side in the crime drama Men of Respect in 1990 and the crime thriller The Yards in 2000. And just when you thought his talents were maxed out, Grimaldi holds a PhD in data processing because apparently solving equations is just as thrilling as solving crimes. Currently, he's rocking in the academia boat in Kingsport Community College teaching mathematics like a true mathlete. Grimaldi secured the role for Dani without needing an audition. During that period, he had been the lead role in an off-Broadway play called Mama's Little Angels. The director and producers attended multiple performances, eventually approaching him to express their interest in having him join the film. He has 2 wins under his belt, an impressive SAG award for outstanding performance in The Sopranos, and then winner for Best Actor in the Short Drama from Atlantic Scene Fest. He's still active in the film scene today with 2 upcoming roles.
Wow.
Yeah,
look at him.
I know. So how much do you think the budget for this movie was?
Honestly, I'm giving it, I don't know, it gives like somewhere like 7 figures. It seemed like the production value was kind of there.
Okay. The film had a budget of only $250,000, a pretty low budget for this movie. It had a whopping $2.9 million box office profit. So it did pretty good, I think, for what they were working with. The movie was filmed in the Strauss Mansion in Atlantic Highlands in New Jersey from February to March in 1979. During that time, the mansion was in a deteriorated state and was being used as low-income housing. Today, it serves as a museum and headquarters for the Atlantic Highlands Historical Society. Back then, when the movie was made, the mansion faced further decline, leading to his condemnation by the town in 1980, with plans of demolishing. The local historical society intervened and purchased the property and renamed it the Strauss Mansion Museum after its builder, Adolf Strauss, in 1893. Nowadays, the museum features exhibits in each room covering local history and Victorian displays. Ongoing restorations efforts rely on donations, and though it's a work in progress, the house has retained much of its original character. Some rooms may still be recognized from the film, though changes like display cases may alter their appearance. The society often screens the movie at the mansion in October as part of their Halloween events, which I think is pretty fucking awesome.
That's cool.
I looked up the address on Google, and it's actually a very nice Victorian mansion, and I'm very happy they decided to restore it because I love me an old house, especially if it's an old creepy house.
Yeah.
So, despite receiving some positive reviews from critics, Don't Go in the House stirred controversy almost immediately due to explicit portrayal of Kathy Jordan's death, Dani Kohler's first victim, and its central theme of childhood abuse. The film we watched is actually an edited version. When I first watched it, it was actually the unedited version because there's a lot more nudity in it. The film underwent significant cuts, removing nearly 3 minutes for its British release in the winter of 1980. An uncut version, promoted as a true nasty from Arcade, was released on video by Arcade Label in 1982, quickly landing it on the list of banned titles known as video nasties by the DPP, which is the Directors of Public Prosecutions. The pre-cut British cinema version made its way to video through the Apex label in 1987. However, it wasn't until 2011 that the film received approval for an uncut release. Yeah, so a little drama going on.
Yeah, well, when we were watching it, like, in that scene, like, it kind of felt odd. Like, I felt like there should have been nudity in that scene.
Which scene? The Kathy when she's hanging? Yes.
Yeah, because, and not to make it like a sexual thing, but it's more so to display her...
vulnerability.
Yeah. So, but you could definitely tell, like, it had been, like, the framing...
The close-ups are kind of gritty.
For sure, yeah.
I don't know why it was edited, because I watched this almost 3 years ago for the first time, and it was on Prime, so I'm not sure when they actually decided to edit it. So, I don't know. Okay, so let's get into it. So right away, in the beginning of the movie, we get a lot of fire elements going on, and it's pretty intense and almost radiates heat just by watching these roaring flames. Dani is at work and is just hypnotized by the flames. Then one of his coworkers, Ben, is working, and then a can explodes in the incinerator, and he is pretty much lit on fire. Instead of helping put out the flame, he just kind of stares at Ben as his coworkers try to put out the fire. After this, he's confronted by another coworker, Vito, as to why he didn't help. And Dani kind of goes into this spiel about how the flames covered him and was purifying him, and that he wasn't scared, and it was just a really weird moment to have. And we can already see that Dani is very disturbed. He's then invited to go out for a drink by Bobby, a fellow coworker, but blows it off because his mother is sick at home. On the drive home, he hears a disembodied voice saying, "That's right, go home. Go home like a good boy. Mama is waiting." So it's very clear. It's very clearly a woman's voice that he's hearing. And there's really no tiptoeing around Dani's instability, like someone might expect from a movie like this. Usually there's no, in this, there's no maybe he's crazy, maybe he isn't mystery at all. Like, we know right off the bat that there's something wrong. It's so insanely creepy to have all the information so quickly and at the very beginning of the film.
Yeah, we're like bombarded with so much information in those first few minutes. You know, like you were saying, those opening titles, like, all you're seeing are these flames, which is basically just foreshadowing the entire movie, you know. And then when Donnie's coworker gets lit on fire and Donnie's just standing there watching, like, it kind of really gives you this clear image of the type of person that Dani is. Like, he's just, I don't know, he has this, like, morbid fascination over this fire, you know. As far as, like, the cinematography itself, some of the shots in the beginning are kind of shaky. Like, you can definitely tell, like, it's not quite, you know, I don't know, like a AAA title film, you know, but there are some shots that are really good, like when Dani and Bobby are standing in that big garage door. Yeah. And they're backlit from they're like practical lights that are just lining the hall there. And it's just really well, you know, put together. But yeah. And then we get to Dani arriving at his home.
Yes. And when Dani gets home, he tells his mother he's back home and offers to make her tea. And in the kitchen, he notices a box of matches. And he hears this young boy saying, "Please, mother, don't." Later, while serving tea, Dani realizes his mother isn't just sleeping, she's dead. Dani's strong reaction becomes a key moment, showing how well Grimaldi uses facial expressions in the film. He does it throughout the whole film. And Dani looks shocked and disgusted when he understands that his mother is gone. And the way he slowly turns to the camera with that expression of like shock and horror is creepy. It captures the very deep impact of his emotions. And Grimaldi's choice to make this scene eerie and emotional makes it stand out in the story. It's just very... You don't expect like that strong of a reaction so quickly. Mm-hmm. And that facial expression, his face is seared into my mind now.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of, I don't know, relatable. Like it was, the best way for me to put it is like he had been punched in the gut by his mother's death, and it had knocked the wind out of him. So he's covering his mouth and he's like gasping for air almost. There's a lot of things in that that scene of him arriving home. Like when he first walks in the front door, we're looking at him from this low angle Dutch angle. Mm-hmm. So the frame is askew, and it's to give that sense of something's wrong here. Like something is off. You know, it's supposed to be disorienting. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, he goes to the kitchen, sees the box of matches, which I don't know if you were paying attention, but...
they've etched out the specific names. Yes, they Sharpied out the copyright stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to get sued over this. You know, so like him being mesmerized by the matches even further like imprints the type of person that Dani is, because he's like, I even wrote like, dude seems like a pyro, if you ask me. But you know, and the whole thing was just giving Psycho vibes. Oh, you know, him calling for his mother. You know, I even put like, you know. At the time, I didn't know what his name was because I don't think I had caught the name. Mm-hmm. So I just named him Norman Bates. His name is Norman now.
Man, those men with those mommy issues, you've got to watch out. Don't date a guy. Don't marry a guy with mommy issues, man.
Yep.
So Dani freaks out and goes through the stages of grief, kind of, starting with denying his mother's death. He then tries calling someone with the phone, like he dials the number and then stops abruptly, still refusing to accept reality. While attempting to wake his mother again, he hears the strange female voice saying encouraging things like, "You're not alone and you can do anything." And instead of dealing with the situation or seeking help, Dani asks the voice, "Can I play my music loud, or can I play loud music?" And then he does, the voice laughs and stuff, and he blasts his music and acts like how you would expect a typical teenager would when left at home alone. He's jumping on furniture, he's smoking, he's even putting out a cigarette on this porcelain figure. And then he hears his mother's voice after this, and he panics, and he rushes to put things back and fix everything just right. And then he goes back up, rushing up the stairs, and his mom's still dead. And the voice reassures him, you know, the mother is still dead. Then it tells him that he's the master of the flame now. There's a flashback to Dani's childhood, and we get a pretty good look at what abuse Dani had to go through as a young child. We watch as his mother forces his hands and arms over a lit stove, burning him. She claims to be burning the evil out of him. And we also learn that Dani's father isn't around, and his mother blames his father for Dani being evil. This is... There's a lot to unpack here, because it's almost like you want to feel sorry for him, and that maybe if Dani hadn't been like abused so much, he wouldn't turn out and do all the things that he's about to do.
Yeah, well, and I would say initially, yes, you feel bad for Dani. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's super funny though, because like as soon as his mother was dead, he was just like, "Oh, mom's dead. Better go put on some disco." You know, it's like, okay,
and he did. The soundtrack though, some fucking bops, man.
Yeah, there were some good ones. You know, but I have to admit, like he was acting his ass off in this scene. Like And throughout the whole movie, really, like he really was showing his acting chops.
Oh yeah, just a very talented man.
And there, I think it is this scene where there's a shot of him walking up the stairs. Is it this scene or this is the next scene? I can't remember. He's walking up the stairs, and we're just looking up from behind, and he's kind of
that shadow and that light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. Yeah. Dani, that's me. I'm Dani. Hi, I'm Dani. Dani then goes back up to his mother with a box of matches, and that's when we see the shot you're talking about. And at this point, we see a shot of Donnie's shadow doing something, but it's not really clear what's happening here at that moment. The next morning, Donnie gets a call from his work buddy, Bobby, asking him to go and get coffee or something. And Bobby, honestly, is just trying to be a friend throughout this whole movie. And for a movie from the 80s, Bobby seems pretty non-toxic at first.
Yes, looks can be deceiving.
Yes. If that makes sense at all. In a lot of the early movies like this, we get a lot of toxic masculinity. And in my opinion, Bobby is really kind of trying to break down that wall. Or it seems like he is. After the phone call, we witnessed Donnie begin to make something in the house. We're not sure what it is yet. He ventures into town and stops by a gift shop. Oh, before this, he actually stops at a thrift shop, and he's looking at all these weapons and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. So he goes to this gift shop and claiming to want a gift for his sick mother, and the florist, Kathy, opens up the already closed shop and sells him some flowers. He then witnesses her miss her bus and being harassed by a trio of men on the street. He offers her a ride to the next bus station, and they have a very normal and pleasant conversation as Donnie drives. He claims that he wants to drop off the flowers for his mother, who is waiting at home preparing dinner. And when they arrive to the house, Donnie convinces Kathy to go into the house with him, and that was a big mistake.
I don't really understand. For some reason, and I don't know if it was just women, but people in general in the 80s were a lot more trusting.
Yeah. Hitchhiking was a big thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Because at first it's why did she let him in the store to begin with? The dude...
She felt bad for him.
I don't care. The dude reeks of, Ted Bundy.
I know.
And to be fair, when this movie came out, I'm pretty sure Ted Bundy was still out there doing his
1980?
His
yeah. He was active during the 80s and I think early 90s. If I'm right, I might be wrong.
Yeah, I think Bundy was executed in the early 90s, but I think Bundy was active late 70s, early 80s, around that time frame.
We should know this. I've seen so many Ted Bundy.
Hello from Dani in the future, who is editing this episode. Ted Bundy was active between the years of 1974 and 1978. That is just a correction. That's all. Back to the episode.
It was at this point that I renamed Donnie, because I still didn't know his name. I renamed him to Norman Bundy.
Yep. That makes sense. That's perfectly acceptable.
He's just an amalgamation of two different fucked up people.
Mm-hmm. When inside, Donnie goes off to get his mother and leaves Kathy in the living room. He does this whole bit about his mother being too sick to get out of bed, and then fake calls the doctor. Our girl Kathy is pretty much creeped out now and wants to call a cab to come get her. And while she's on the phone, Donnie takes the chance and knocks her out. Kathy wakes up naked and chained to the ceiling in Donnie's makeshift oven that he's built. And meanwhile, Donnie is being a real creep upstairs, sitting in a rocking chair and just kind of reliving some of his childhood memories of child abuse. Donnie then, dressed in a flame retardant suit, goes to Kathy with gas and douses Kathy with gas and sets her on fire with a flamethrower. Where he got this flamethrower, I don't know. It doesn't show it. It might be from his work at the incinerator, but
I don't know, because earlier when he was at the thrift store, one of the things he was looking at in the window was this World War II firefighter suit.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And that's the suit that he's wearing in the scene. But I don't know if for some reason the flamethrower was
Came with
part of
like,
that.
like a combo deal.
I mean, it was
Buy
the
one,
80s,
get
you
one?
know? Yeah, so like, but yeah, that's a fucked up way to go.
Oh, that's such a horrible way to go.
Yeah.
The suit that Donnie is actually wearing, the flame suit, is actually an asbestos suit that Dan Grimaldi actually kept after the movie. Yeah, I don't think he has that anymore, unless it's like in a display case where people can't touch it.
Yeah, that'd be fair.
You gotta watch out for that asbestos, man.
Yeah.
Back at work, the big boss threatens Bobby that if Donnie doesn't go back to work on Monday, he's fired. Donnie's next victim is a stranded woman whose car has ran out of gas. He offers her a ride and claims he needs to drop something off at his house first. And next thing we know, we're back at the house hearing screams and seeing smoke. And it's kind of like rising from the stairs, but I think it's just kind of like filling the house a bit. Mm-hmm. And Donnie is just a spree killing now, man. Like, he's just...
Yeah.
Gotta get him out. Gotta get him.
Yeah, the it's almost like the voices keep lining him up, and he keeps knocking them down.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, the dude's cracked.
Yeah, he's pretty cracked.
Gone. Yeah.
Donnie is being a real incel now. His next victim he approaches is this woman at a grocery store. I think her name was Linda. And offers to carry her bags and a ride home and just won't take no for an answer. He's just in her face, in her personal space, won't let her get away. Like, it just...
Yeah, that was so wild to me. It was like she had just finished checking out. Like, she was still at the register, and he's like, "Can I carry your bags? Can I give you a ride home?" And he's like forcing himself on her. Even the cashier was just like, "Is there a problem here?" You know? Which apparently, I guess his advances worked.
Yeah. Well, he says he's going to apologize, and then it just cuts back to the house.
Yeah.
And Donnie repeats the same murder scenario that night with Linda, the woman he assails at the grocery store, and arranges her alongside his mother, or not with his mother, but his other victims. It's revealed now that Donnie has been burning his mother's body slowly while it's still up in her bedroom. And he has began to see her apparition now, and it's starting to haunt him, and he just like freaks out, which, I mean, who wouldn't freak out? It's also revealed that he set up his victims in one room and his mother's in her bedroom still. He's been like dressing the corpses in his mother's clothing.
I don't know why. My thing is like, maybe he was trying to envision that they were also his mother. I don't know.
It's all delusion, you know. It's all just it's messed up stuff.
Yeah, but that scene when he's in that room talking to them, man, that was heavy. That was a heavy fucking scene. Because the movie itself, like, at times there were parts that were kind of funny, even like cringy sometimes. Yeah.
Well, it's cringy because he's such an incel. He really fucking is.
Yeah. He's like Dustin Hoffman's Rain Man, but if Rain Man were evil.
I don't know if he's Rain Man or that way.
Over there talking about like some 12 fish sticks stuff. That's bad.
It's cringy because you see him interact with all these bodies, and he lies. Like, he has no reason to, but he lies to all the bodies. We'll get into it. Let me get back on track. Okay, so Bobby makes another attempt to get Donnie back at work. Emphasizing
Yep.
the urgency. During their phone call, Donnie sees his mother's ghost, causing a moment of intense panic and a glimpse of realization about his actions. It's almost like he kind of snaps back to reality. And as he starts to confide in Bobby, hinting at the murders almost, it seems like he's on the verge of opening up. However, he hesitates and then still tells Bobby that his mother is unwell again. Despite this diversion, Dani expresses gratitude to Bobby for being a supportive friend. Dani starts to hear the voices again. First, his mother calling him trash, and then he won't escape like his father did. And that whole moment, there's a lot of information, and it makes me question what kind of relationship his parents had. And maybe that his mother was also abusive to his father. His friends, as he refers to the voices, the female disembodied voices, again reassures him that his mother can't hurt him and all that jazz. He then hears giggling from his dead victims, and it's revealed that he has kept the charred bodies of all the girls he's killed. Dani has a monologue about his childhood and the abuse his mother put him and his father through while drinking a hidden bottle. I think it's brandy. But this is where he goes into that, like, telling him about the past and how such a big man his father was and bigger than him, and starts to, like, have this just almost confession-like, but bragging almost to these corpses. And he has no need to. That's how delusional this man is. Like, how far gone he is. He's just trying to entertain and impress these dead bodies. It's wild.
Yeah. I remember when he pulls the bottle out of the drawer and stuff, he talks about how he hides it simply out of respect for his father.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So it's almost like he idolized his father in a way, which kind of makes sense when you look at the dynamic between him and his mother. Obviously, he had no love for his mother. His mother was pretty evil to him.
I don't know if he didn't have love for his mother. Because I think in all cases, everyone, no matter, especially if you're young and abused in that way, that's all the children know in a relationship between a child and its mother. And they still have that instinctive love for them. And through the little speech and monologue he does, we learn that his father left him when he was 5. And that sometimes at night, Dani would wake up and his mother would be standing over him screaming like a mad woman. Ugh. He then claims that the charred corpses aren't listening to him, and he calls them witches and vain and selfish. But the new one, Linda, who he says tried to listen to him, and then he makes out with her toasted body. Yeah,
so he makes out with her, and then the other...
They giggle.
And
he slaps the corpse.
Yes.
And he just lets his anger out on these bodies, man. Like, he then brags about beating up his boss at work. Like, and it never happened. He's full on delusional.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like...
it's frustrating to me.
Yeah, it's like he's trying to impress them somehow. Yeah. But they're corpses.
Yeah.
So...
And then we have the way he walks up the stairs of this is really eerie. And he moves slowly, gripping the rail with both hands, almost like he's drunk, which possibly because he is. And that night, Dani experiences a haunting dream. And there's fire and explosion, all the good things that he likes. And then the 3 burnt corpses drag him down into a grave. Upon waking up, he checks on the actual corpses, finding them in the same place. Surprise! Startled, he encountered his mother's ghost again, prompting him to drive to a church in the dead of night. There, he meets Father Garrity, and goes to pretty much confession. And instead of admitting his own sins, Dani reveals his childhood abuse he suffered at the hands of his mother.
So going back to the dream sequence.
Yeah.
terrible camera work during the explosions and stuff. So, like, the explosions will be going off, and then the camera just kind of, like, I don't know, like, just jarringly, like, pans over. Like,
I think it's supposed to be that way, though.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it could have been. It just, to me, it felt jarring. Like, I feel like...
I think it was purposeful to make you, like... When we dream, sometimes our dreams are jarring. Like something, like they switch angles suddenly.
Yeah.
And I think that's supposed to like just give into the dreamscape.
Yeah, that's fair. And then in the church, when Donnie's talking to Father Garrity, there are some really good shots.
Oh yeah, it's an intense scene.
Yeah.
It's a really intense scene.
Yeah. And it was at this point that I was just kind of like, the film... It's not so much scary as it is creepy. Mm-hmm. It's definitely got this like macabre feel to it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
I mean, keeping like 3 charred corpses in a room is pretty, macabre, morbid. Yeah. After church, Donnie returns home and blesses his mother's corpse with holy water. He confesses that he told the priest and that he wants to, and that the priest wants Donnie to get better. He then tells the corpses of his victims that things are going to change and that he wants to change. He also blesses them with the holy water. But the voices, Donnie's friends, have other plans. Donnie tries to reason with the voices that he doesn't need to burn anymore, but the voices convince him that there are more that need to be purified. And, why do you think he blessed them with the holy water?
Well, I think it's mainly because he I don't know. It's like he felt that they were evil. Mm-hmm. Like, because that was what his mother always told him. Like, we've got to burn the evil out. But he had already burned them. Mm-hmm. But it kind of felt like maybe they weren't purified yet. So he blessed them with the holy water. I don't know.
I think the action of using the holy water on his mother and the corpses is supposed to signify like, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of compassion. I think he's trying to be compassionate towards them to make himself feel better. I don't think it's really about blessing them per se, but try to make up for his sins that he realizes he's done.
Yeah.
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 Donnie, assumed trying to fix his life, calls up Bobby and invites him out to a movie. Bobby, on the other hand, has plans. And I know I talked Bobby up earlier, but I kind of regret doing that now. Bobby, who is married with 2 kids, that has what he refers as 2 live ones, possibly a reference to the exact opposite of what Donnie has, and invites Donnie on a double date to a disco. Then Donnie does a little shopping, and we have a little makeover moment and gets a new fit for his date. And Donnie goes out to this disco in his ensemble, and the seller has told him that it's a dynamite outfit, which I'm sure Donnie loved. And let me tell you, Donnie cleaned up pretty nice. He looks kind of fire. Pun intended. Fully intended.
You know who he looked like? I don't know the character's name, but John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
Well, it's roughly around the same era with the scene, the disco scene. Yeah.
I mean the salesman at the clothing store. It's groovy, man.
Yeah, very groovy. Super groovy.
Yeah, and then the whole scene in the disco it was very red, like flat red, and it wasn't like there was no contrast. And granted, this was at a different time when it was a lot, harder to do those types of things, But it was very, to me, it was very hard on the eyes. Came across very flat. And then you've got fucking Donnie setting women on fire at the disco.
I think the red is to portray like passion In a way, because we see lots of bodies moving, it's very provocative and almost erotic. Because there's lots of shots of like booties and women moving their bodies and stuff, cocaine. You know, they're just having a good old time. Dani arrives at the disco where Bobby introduced him to his date, Farah. The date starts well, kind of, but when she suggests dancing, Dani declines and watches the others on the dance floor. When his date tries to pull him onto the floor, he accidentally, like, it's over this lit candle and it triggers him, and it triggers the painful memories of his childhood abuse. This angers Dani, leading him to smash the candle holder onto her head, setting her hair on fire. Panicking, Dani leaves the disco, where then he is confronted by Thera's brother, who was at the same party. And he gets his ass kicked. And he's able to get away. And then on his way home, he encounters 2 intoxicated women whom he persuades to come with him to his house. Meanwhile, Bobby, concerned about Dani, seeks out and crosses paths with Father Garrity on the way to Dani's house.
I guess you could say that there was a panic at the disco.
I want a divorce.
Yeah, that whole.
Are you happy with that? Are you proud?
Yeah,
Are you proud of yourself?
I loved it. I wrote that myself. Thank you. You know, I thought that was a good joke.
Yeah, a joke that's totally new and no one's ever used before. Dani... Wait, hold on. I lost my place because of you. On his way, he encounters the 2 intoxicated women, right? He invites them to go to his house so they could have their own party. And they're like, hell yeah. And then Bobby, concerned about Dani, seeks him out and goes to Father Garrity on the way to Dani's house. Yeah, okay, we're caught up. Back at the house, Dani has separated the women and has the first one tied up in the oven already when her friend starts to look for her. She ventures up the stairs and is stalked by Dani until she stumbles upon the room full of corpses. And you really like the shot of Dani like walking across the stairs.
Okay, so picture this. Okay, we're looking up the stairs. Okay, and it's like a hallway stair, so like walls on both sides.
Yes.
Right. So it's nicely framed out up at the top. Okay, you got this bright light coming down.
Yeah, it's the only light source.
The only light, and she is silhouetted against the light, and she gets to the top of the stairs at the landing and hooks a left, and the camera stays. Like we keep rolling, and then you just see Dani walk across the fucking opening, and I was like, bro, that gave me chills. I was like, dude, that was a good shot.
Yes, it was. There was some really good shots in this movie, honestly.
Yeah.
Dani then goes on a rant at the charred corpses. Some crazy shit about lying to him and taking advantage of him and just a bunch of delusional talk. And this is so, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Hypocritical. Because he is constantly lying to people. He even lied to the 2 girls in the truck on the way over because he said that he was, like, in the Green Beret.
Yeah.
And the Marines. The Marines don't have a Green Beret. No. It's the Army. And they call him out for it.
Yeah.
And he's lied about his mother still being alive, she's sick, all this crazy stuff. And it's just...
I think that just goes towards, like, showing that Donnie's not mentally stable. Like,
nope.
He
never was.
He's a pathological liar.
Yes. Pyromaniac.
Serial killer. So, like... So, as we can see... He has some mental instability, but I think these are all like symptoms towards like him being a psychopath.
Oh yeah.
You know, he has no like real compassion towards women.
No, only to himself.
Yes.
He pities himself.
Yeah. And it all stems back to the way that his mother treated him.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Treat your children right, please.
Yes.
Please raise good children. Don't abuse kids. So Bobby and Father Garrity show up at the house, and Dani ignores them and starts getting his fire suit on. Bobby and Garrity are able to break into the house, and they hear the women crying and discover the makeshift oven. They're able to free the women and begin to escort them from the house, and Garrity gets a little nosy and starts to look for Dani, but Dani reveals himself in the fire suit and lights up Father Garrity with his flamethrower. The father rushes out of the house, and Dani goes into another monologue to the charred corpses. The bodies come to life and try to attack Dani. Dani defends himself by using his flamethrower, and he's trying to leave the room, and he lights the house on fire, and his mother's body then descends on him, dragging him into the flames. Later on, a boy named Michael catches a news report about Dani's death. His mother reprimands him and hits him for not turning off the TV and cleaning his room as she's instructed. Once she leaves, Michael begins hearing the same voices Dani heard, claiming they're there to help him. And the ending credit score is fucking a bop, man.
Yep, and that's the origin story of Michael Myers.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I also wrote that I think Michael just turns into Zach Baggins or whatever the fuck his name is.
Why?
Do you believe in ghost stories?
Don't Go in the House had a big impact on future slasher films. Even though it's different from the usual ones, let's talk about how the scary movie left its mark. Don't Go in the House might have inspired other horror filmmakers. For example, the parts where Dani imagines his burning victims coming back to life could have influenced Maniac in 1980 by William Lustig. The movie's dark and psychological tone paved the way for scarier and more thought-provoking horror stories. Even though it's not a typical slasher, it's left a big impression and went against the norm and pushed the limits. Its portrayal of madness, abuse, and violent scenes added something to new scary movies. In short, Don't Go in the House may not be like other slasher films, but it really impacts the genre. It dared to explore the messed up mind of its main character instead of focusing on its victims, and it left people both disturbed and interested. So it's I think, probably my second favorite movie that we've done so far, because it is so different. And I think that's one of the reasons why it really got on the list of my movies.
Mm-hmm. I think the movie should be retitled Dani and the Crispy Girls.
Okay. I mean,
so the special effects.
That would be a good band name.
So when I thought of it, I was like, yeah, you got the Spice Girls, but what about the Crispy Girls? And then it was like Dani and the Crispy Girls.
That sounds delicious. Sorry.
Yeah, so I could see that, though. I could see this film like influencing a lot of filmmakers after that, because like I think it wasn't until like 1983 with like Nightmare on Elm Street when we saw like just gushing blood scenes, like the scene where Johnny Depp gets stabbed through the mattress of the bed and stuff.
That was Kevin Bacon.
That is Johnny Depp, and you're thinking of Friday the 13th.
I'm thinking of Friday the 13th. I'm sorry.
But movies like that take influence from these films. Like when people typically think of B movies, like they're not up to par with these big major Hollywood blockbuster films and stuff.
That's why I love them, though.
Yeah,
I love seeing how little it takes to make a movie, even if it's not the best, but some of them are good.
Yeah. To make a no-budget film, you got to be very creative. like getting smacked in the head with a hammer. How do you make that work without actually getting smacked in the head with a hammer? You know,
movie magic.
Yeah, you just don't show it. You put the audio in so people hear that smack.
Yeah, and they have that. You know what it sounds like to like hit your body.
Yes.
And you know how hard a hammer is.
Right.
So when you combine those elements, but without the visual, you get that imagery.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, overall, I think this film really, really came through. I would also agree that it was probably my second favorite.
Oh, yeah. What was your first favorite?
My first favorite.
Or your number one?
My number one. That's hard to say.
What?
Out of the films that we've watched so far, I would probably say my number one favorite was maybe The Changeling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mainly because the wheelchair sitting at the top of the stairs is fucking creepy.
Oh, God. It is. My number one pick is Daughters of Darkness. I think it has like a very special like place in my heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can see that. Yeah.
So what would you give Don't Go Into the House?
I would probably give this film... maybe a 7. A 7
That's
out
what
of
I gave
10.
it. Yeah, I gave it too.
Yeah. Because it had everything that it needed to be a good film. There were some things that need work. Mm-hmm. But, those things they pale in comparison to the larger picture.
Yeah.
So I think the filmmakers did a really good job on this one.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
Also, it's the eve of our very first episode that we're going to be putting out right now as we record this.
Right.
How are you feeling about that?
Nervous.
Yeah, me too. Hopefully it goes all well. I'm excited. I'm nervous, and I'm really loving doing this project with you.
I love doing this podcast. It is it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of work though. So it is obviously my hope that people also enjoy listening to these.
It's a passion project right now.
Yes,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's it for now. Until next episode.
Yeah. Until next time, make sure you follow us on all of our socials. You can follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Mm-hmm. You can also check out our website at www.andimadehimwatch.com.
Mm-hmm. Instagram, Facebook,
Twitter, TikTok.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere, baby. Yeah. Can't miss us.
Nope.
So be sure to check us out. And as always, stay spooky.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey through Don't Go in the House. I'm Troy Allen, and alongside Dani Page, we've delved into the depths of this eerie classic. Special thanks to Dani for her meticulous research, and to myself for handling the technical aspects. The haunting music was provided by Tori Wolf, courtesy of Epidemic Sound. If you've enjoyed what you heard, don't forget to subscribe to And I Made Him Watch for more hair-raising adventures. Keep those popcorn bowls ready for the scares ahead. Remember to follow us on Spotify, subscribe on YouTube, and connect with us on our social media platforms for more horror-filled content and updates. Your support means the world to us, and we can't wait to bring you more spine-tingling episodes in the future. Until next time, stay spooky, stay safe, and remember, never go in the house.